Hey, soldiers, the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of central banks, has come out and upgraded an asset. You can buy this asset. I'm going to tell you why they upgraded it. I'm going to tell you why central banks are hot on it. And there's one central bank in particular that can't get enough of it. And the reason why they can't get enough of it is because they want to get away from being reliant on the dollar. We are living in an era where we are witnessing the decline of the de facto reserve currency for the entire world. It's exciting times if you're into history and economics. But even though we might get excited and stimulated by the historical ramifications of this, at the end of the day, doesn't bode well for the dollar. Are we going to wake up one morning and there's going to be some breaking news item that says the dollar is finished, it's done? No, that's not going to happen. All right. Even though the UK had the world's reserve currency at one point in the form of the British pound, they lost it to us being, Americans in the dollar. The pound is still used. They still have an economy. All right. But there are certain things you can't do when you don't have the world's reserve currency. You can't have a big old military that's all stationed everywhere around the world. When the British had the world's reserve currency, they used to say the sun never sets on the British Empire. Why? Because they were everywhere. All right. But their contraction coincided with the loss of the hegemony of the British pound. We're witnessing that here. We're going to go on. We're going to continue to use dollars in some form of fashion in the foreseeable future, okay? But in a diminished capacity in terms of its influence throughout the world. Now, China is saying, you know what? We're going to be buying more gold. Gold is a tier 1 asset now, as far as the Bank of International Settlements is concerned. That simply means that gold is now on par with the way that folk have looked at the dollar in previous decades, in that it has zero credit risk. If the dollar was ever as good as gold, then gold certainly would be as good as gold. So if you hold that physical gold, what are called the Basel III Accords are saying that, hey, you know what? You hold an asset that is top tier, all right, unassailable, has value that is recognized the world over, and it has a value that is not as nearly susceptible, if susceptible at all, to the various machinations of monetary policy throughout the world, with all of these central banks like the Bank of England, the People's Bank of China, the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, gold is it. It's gold. We all agree on its value by and large. So look, China is saying because of that and because of the fact that the United States wants to continue to rack up these insane amounts of debt, okay? They want to weaponize their dollar if they don't like your foreign policy. Let's start buying gold. Yeah, we were going to buy some T-bills with this money, but let's buy some gold with some of it because it also is a tier 1 asset, and it's a tier 1 asset that is not affected by, again, the United States in their monetary and fiscal policy. Estimated Chinese official gold reserves have crossed 5,000 tons. Now, this is according to Jan Nieuwenhuis. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Forgive me if I have mispronounced it. Of Gainesville Coins. My estimate for China's official gold reserves reached 5,029 tons by the end of June 2023. In the first 6 months of 2023, the Chinese Central Bank purchased an estimated 353 tons, although demand in H1 2023 was down 34% from 2022. Demand was still strong and a driving force behind the price of gold. All right, so China is stocking up. All right, they're saying that we want to acquire more gold. Now, of course, gold is an asset that you can purchase. Be careful, because let's go back to the Basel III Accords. Physical gold is a tier 1 asset. Gold that is backed, or gold that is on paper, so a mutual fund or some type of, paper instrument that says they have the gold, that's not a tier 1 asset. And the reason for that is because unless you're willing to submit to audits, you should be able to substantiate you have the gold, right? So via an audit or via some SEC approved type of statement, all right? Yes, we have the gold, okay? And that's not done, all right? You've got traders from Goldman Sachs manipulating, not Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan manipulating the price of gold, okay? 2 just got convicted of that, all right? So when they are doing that manipulation, that's paper gold that they're manipulating. So yeah, and it can have an effect on the price of physical gold, but that manipulation is easier to do in that paper or derivative market. So when you go out and you say, I'm going to purchase not physical gold, but gold in a mutual fund, just keep that in mind. China's not purchasing gold mutual funds or gold index funds. China's purchasing real gold. The central banks around the world are purchasing real gold. With regard to what is held in Fort Knox here in America and West Point, it ain't paper certificates. It's real gold. Now, nobody really knows how much gold China has. They're not too transparent when it comes to a lot of their information. The thinking is also that they're storing up gold to be able to, this is speculation, but to be able to offer some sort of currency that is backed by commodities at some point in conjunction with other BRICS nations who have vast reserves of other commodities like oil, for example. They've got a lot of those OPEC and OPEC plus countries in BRICS, all right? So look, you can take a look. I just want you to know that gold, genuflection toward gold from US Treasuries, that does not bode well for the dollar, but we're not doom and gloom here. The dollar's going to end tomorrow. Buy your beans and, your shotgun shells. No. But we are going to see at some point, if we live long enough, a contraction of U.S. military power, a contraction of all of these benefits that are offered in America, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, a contraction of those benefits. Local services will contract to the extent that they rely on federal funding, okay? Expect that, because you cannot write these blank checks if you don't have the reserve currency. And it looks like more and more countries are deciding that they prefer a shiny yellow metal to a green piece of paper. I know it's not paper. It's like some cotton thing going on, but you get the point. Listen, guys, I want you to take a look at this video where we talk about a city that is out of control. You need to get out of it if you're in it. Crime is another thing that is sapping our economic strength here in America. There doesn't seem to be a will to really fight it the way it needs to be fought in order to make sure the taxpayer and their property is safe. Watch this video, learn more. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.